and then on Thursday you can work together on your projects. If you decide that you just want to do it on your own and you don't, then that's fine with me. I just think a lot of times if people want to work together, sometimes you can figure out things that you can't on your own. So let me get this on screen share. There it is. Okay. All right. So if I bring up the Evernote schedule, which I was going to look at it on that one. So here it is. Okay, so today what we're going to do is cover a little bit more in depth of what was in chapter 1, and we'll go ahead. I know I assigned you all to finish chapter 1 and take the reading quiz. So we're going to talk a little more and do some problems that have to do with just straightforward Python coding, but we're not, and we're going to talk about loops, and we're going to go through the long exercise together. How many of you were able to do that on your own? The long exercise. Oh man, you guys are sharp. Okay, so we'll go through it. Brandon?
Did you get those exercises that were shared? Did you get some over the weekend?
I didn't look at them, but I'll look today if you have a question about it, but I'll try to look at those. So my online class, there's quite a big class, as you can see. So today, that's what that is in Evernote. At the top is their teams of 4, and since we have a smaller class, then I just assume that if you guys are sitting in the spot that you want to sit in, then you can share with the person next to you. You can work together, and that can be your partner. And so at the far back, Jelani, right? You might want to come up here and sit next to Pedro, and Laura can just, whoever you want to. I'm hoping Crystal shows up. And so this, I'm not sure. She's only going to be here in the daytime. She's concurrent. So anyway, just on Tuesdays, I mean. So she won't be here on Thursday, or so she could work with you. But any of you all that, there's supposed to be 2 others come. So if they don't, you can share your folders also on their Google Drive with your partner. And that way, if you're not here and you want to show each other what you're doing, and kind of if you get stuck on something, then you can say, hey, can you take a look at this? You can also email it to them if that's easier than sharing your folder with them, whichever way you want to do it. Okay. All right. So, that was the first thing I was going to take care of. Then today we're going to look at some pseudocode and flowchart that was created in Lucidchart. And if you have not given me, told me that you want an invite to Lucidchart, you probably want to do that so you can set up Lucidchart. And if you're not understanding that, I'll help each one of you get into Lucidchart, okay? All right, so right now, what we're going to do is there's a simple problem where if you just wanted the user to be able to input a number and then input a second number and add those 2 together, or multiply those 2 numbers. We're going to do that in Python. And last semester, we had to do it in JavaScript. And so if you go back to where our course content is, I've now added in here, where is it at? The zipped file, so you can download this file and you can actually see how to code it in JavaScript also, but you won't be required to learn any of the JavaScript. I'm just giving you another example. Okay, but we're going to code one in Python today, and then we're going to go through and look at the looping thing. So if we look at this one, flowchart, let me go down here so I've got the same one pulled up if you go back to look at this. Okay, so if we want to look at the flowchart and pseudocode to just, if you were given a problem that said, Oh, where did it put it? Oh. If you were given a problem and it said that you wanted to be able to have the user to input 2 numbers, then you have to have 2, what were these called last time? What are these? Does anybody remember? Variables. Okay, so we're using 2, oh, there's someone else. Hey, you can come up here and be, what's your name?
Steven.
Steven, okay. You can be Laura's partner. Because we're going to have partners for.
Which one's Laura?
Laura, right there.
Laura.
Okay, so these are 2 variables, and whenever we start a program, this is called a terminal symbol. And if you go into Lucidchart, you'll see all these shapes that you just drag and drop onto the screen, and then there's connectors, and we'll look at Lucidchart too here in a minute. But used to, when I started in programming in the 70s, we did not have programs to do it. We had a little template called an IBM template. Has anyone ever seen those? They're green. They used to have them at the bookstore, but I don't think they even have them anymore. And it was like drawing with a, or if you've ever played with a spirograph when you were young, you traced around the shapes in there. And that used to be all we had, was a template like that that had all the shapes. But with Lucidchart, you can just drag the shapes over onto your screen, and then you connect them to the flow of the program. This program, do you see any if-else's in here? No. Any loops? No. This is just straight execute one right after the other. And you remember that what we're doing is we're just telling the computer what to do. And it is only as smart as you are. So computers only do exactly what you tell them to do. You give them instructions. So the instructions here are, and the flow chart, which is used a lot in industry. In our textbook that we're using this semester, I don't believe they even cover flow charts in there. But we need to know how to do a flow chart just in case you were to get into a job where they told you had to look at somebody's flow chart and write a program, okay? So we need to know what all these different symbols mean. And if you remember, these are called parallelograms. And this means for input or output. You notice these are both input saying, I want the user to enter a variable, and I'm going to, or enter a value, and I'm going to store it in this variable called num1. Now we wrote this, we're going to write this code in Python, but remember that's just a scripting language. This is the actual logic to answer the problem. Get a number, get another number, ask the user for another number, and then the sum, remember that opposite to what it is in mathematics, the right-hand side is where the problem is, and the answer is a sign, that equal sign, it's kind of blurry, so that equal sign is what tells us to add, or to put the answer of what's in num1 and num2. Oops, I left my end off. So if I was executing this and I said start, okay, I'm going to have a variable up here called num1, and I'm going to have a variable up here called num2. When I say variable, all that is just like it was in mathematics. It varies depending upon what the user enters. So every time I run this program, what's going to happen to num1 and num2? Are they going to be the same? It could be, but no. Most likely, the user will enter a different number each time. Okay? So the first time in says get num1. Let's say pick a number. Laura, pick a number. 7. Okay? So the user enters 7. So the first time when it says get num1, and they enter a 7, then num1, in memory of the computer, there's a space out there that's allocated to the name num1. And so when the user types on the keyboard 7, it's going to be put into that variable and stored there. Okay, Marcus, give me another number.
3.
3, okay, so we're going to put 3 in here. So now when we get to the processing step, and you'll notice it's just a rectangle. And when you look at a flow chart, the processing step is always in a rectangle. So whatever operation you're going to do to those variables that you take in is always in a rectangle. So it says sum, so we have another variable called sum. And whenever we add num1 and num2, which in this case, num1 and num2 are 7 and 3, so our answer would be 10. So now we have 3 places in memory that have a value. Now this is an output box shape again, and it says print sum. So every language that we would write these steps in, the code may be a little different depending upon what the language has you do. Like we talked about last time in JavaScript, it's called document.writeLine. But in Python, it's just print, right? So it matches our pseudocode. That's why we use Python, because it's a whole lot like pseudocode. It's just putting down the steps to solve the problem. So here we have print sum. So our output, and the only thing the user would see is 10. That's what would print out on the screen if we ran this program. Then it would end. So it would only run one time, right? And that's what we learned in chapter 1 at the end that we're going to go over again, that is the long exercise, is that if we wanted to do that more than once, it's called a loop. Now, at the bottom, this is called the pseudocode. And here's the thing about pseudocode. What does the word pseudo mean? Anybody know? What does pseudo mean? What? I'm sorry, I can't.
You said fake.
Fake? It is kind of, it's like the word pseudo actually means the same as. So it's something similar to the real code. And so this, all we did here was take it out of the shapes and put it in just print. And when I first started coding, that's what I used. I never used flowcharts because I could write COBOL-like code in pseudocode. And so I used pseudocode. And what most people do is whatever language you're coding in at the time, usually your pseudocode looks similar because you're trying to go from the pseudocode to the code language that you're using. Okay, so you'll usually, like this is pretty close to Python, right? So it wouldn't take much to put it into Python. And so that's what we're going to do next. So normally when you get, I know this is a little bitty simple problem with only 4 steps, but if we build on that, every if-else statement that we have has to include sequential statements. These are called sequential because they execute one after the other. There's no branching, there's no looping. You have to go from start to end one time, right? So those you have to understand sequential statements and be able to write a program to do sequential before you can do branching or before you can do loops. You've got to be able to do this sequential code. Okay, any questions over the flowchart or the pseudocode there? Pretty simple, huh? Okay, so I'm going to go to the Python. Let's see, where did I load it? It's on my Google Drive. So on this computer,
I don't get Python on this computer.
what's that?
I don't get Python on this computer.
Yes, you should. Is it not? Should be down under programs.
No.
Let me see the.
Yeah.
Sure did not. They did not load you. And these are supposed to all be the same. It probably won't let you install because you're not an admin.
They are.
Yeah. I don't know why. Let me see.
It seems to let me install it.
Yeah, but at the end,
It says no.
yeah, at the end. Oh, maybe no, that's okay. I think I got, oh, that's what it was. I got text. This is
Okay.
there you go. It takes a second when I haven't ever been on that one.
Okay, while we're seeing if yeah, Python's not on Laura's machine, I probably need to tell Ryan that too. But you can check this one too. You want to log in over here and see if Python is on here. So let me get it up. I'm trying to find out if I can get to, yeah, I have to log out of here. I had it all brought up on my Mac, so I'm gonna have to change to my other drive here. Yeah, there it is. Okay, here's where I've got it. All right, so this one is the one that I've already coded. Let me bring it up here. So when y'all get ready to watch this, you'll be able to see it on the video.
Do I have to log out?
You shouldn't.
It says there's no servers.
I don't know. That is really strange. That machine.
Technology is not working with me.
No, and I had that same issue this morning. So let's see. I want to open this with idle. Let me go here. Actually, you remember whenever you get to your idle, I mean your Python, you actually take the option for idle. Is it not letting you?
Nope.
Oh man. I do not. Maybe that is your login then. Maybe there's something wrong with your login that they need to fix. That happens sometimes too.
Well, let's try this one again.
Okay, there it is. All right. Oh, I got to download it. That's fine.
I can log in here just fine.
So it's letting you log in, but it's not. Okay, come on. Now I've got to be able to download this. Ah. Download. Type files and harm your computer. Oh, keep. I know. I harm my computer. Okay. So let's go and open it. It's called. Okay, what did it call it here? Add numbers. Gosh, I don't see that it downloaded there. Of course. Yeah, so Laura, you're not the only one having these issues for some reason. I always, this one says open, but what is it going to use to open it with? No, I didn't want it to do that. Show in folder. Ah, there it is. Okay. Edit with idle. Here we go. Okay, so this one is the one that I have already done, so I didn't have to type it in, but I was going to try to format it bigger. Maybe this will do it. Format. Oh, I know. I have to do that. Can you guys see that? Not at the far back, huh? Okay, this was, all I did is print welcome, and remember, in Python, everything that you put in quotes, that's what's going to go exactly on the screen. So here's one thing extra that I had to do that wasn't in our sequential statements, right? In our flow chart. What do you think this does? Num1 equals n1.
Declaring the integer.
Right, it's declaring it an integer. If you run it without this, and we'll do that here in a second so you can see, but I sure wish I could get that bigger. Oh, maybe that's it. Code context. No. Windows. Okay. I don't know why that won't go bigger. Come on. Find, expand. Maybe it's under here. Preferences. I can't find preferences. And this is the Windows version. I know how to find it in the Mac version. Okay, did you guys find how to? I'll just do it like this. Let me see if I do that. Will it let me? Nope. Comment out, uncomment, tabify.
Format paragraph, alt.
Maybe that's it. Format paragraph. Huh, didn't do anything, did it? It should be Alt Q. Well, I'm going to have to just go through it this way. Okay, so I've got, this is the first line that was not, it's like the start terminal symbol. We didn't put anything in there in our flow chart, which if I could have them both up, I would. Let's see if I can do that. Where is my flow chart? That's not. No. I don't see. So I must close the flow chart out. But the first symbol was, after the start, was to get input, right? It was to get a number, get num1. Well, here I've had to have two variables because I have to have one that the user inputs. So it changed. When this program runs, it says input. So that's going to cause, when I run this program, I execute these instructions, it's going to say to the screen, enter a number. Then you will type in a number, and it will place it in the variable n1. And then I have to declare this to be a number, because if I don't,
You won't know what N1 is.
right, well, actually what it'll do, it'll interpret it as a string. What's a string? You know? I know Shelby does. What's a string? A string, instead of a number, if I have this word sum, or I have, if I had an address that I was typing in, even though it had a number, that address, it's not considered a calculation, right? It's just a label. And so a string is looked at as characters, letters. Okay, so you can't add it, multiply it. If it's a string, you can't do anything with it but print it back out. Makes sense? So like if I had, if I put a number in here, we'll try it without. Let me show you what happens. Okay, in Python, if you want to comment a line, and that means if you want the interpreter not to interpret it, you don't want it to look at it as a line of code, it's just a line in your program, you can put a pound sign, and then it will ignore it. So I'm going to do this and show you what happens. Here. So I'm commenting these out because I want to use them again. But right now I'm just going to say sum n1 and sum n2. Okay, does anybody know what's going to happen when I run it like this? Anybody guess? What's going to happen? Exactly right. It's going to put whatever two numbers I enter, it's just going to put them, squish them together like they're an address or something. Okay, so let's run it and see if that's right. Oh, I got to save it first. Save. Now, if I run it, what I'm doing is I'm telling the computer, execute this instruction, then this instruction, skip these with the pound sign, then this one and this one. Okay, it's going to skip the ones with the pound sign. It's going to say, oh, that's just for me to see, not the interpreter. Nobody's asking a question. I can't tell. Usually I can tell by the faces if you get what I'm saying. So here it is. It didn't work. N1 is not defined.
You have, in a letter, plus N2.
Oh, that's what it is. Thank you. Okay, let's try it again. Save. Still not going to let me. N1, name N1 is not defined. Oh, I see. Also, I didn't change. Oh, I did the wrong. I put a pound sign in front of the wrong one. You guys didn't catch me. Come on. Let's see. And I don't want one there, or else I don't have any input, right? Those are the only two lines that I wanted to show you what this does. So if I do File, Save, and I run it. Okay, see it printed to the screen, welcome, and it says enter a number. So I'm going to enter a 5. So where's that 5 going? Into what variable? N1. So even though I don't see N1, the code I wrote said set what the input is into the variable N1, right? Okay, so now I hit enter again, enter a second number. So I'm going to enter 6. Now, if it was really adding, it should come up with 11, right? 56. So all it did was print those two numbers out right next to each other because it thinks they are characters because I didn't tell it that it's a number. So the computer only knows it's a number if I tell it. So if I go in here and I take the number sign off, then I'm going to have to fix my sum too, back to sum 1. So now what I'm saying is after you take that number into N1, then I'm going to change it to an integer. I'm going to tell the computer that it is a number that you can add. And I have to do that with both of them. So these two statements were not in my flowchart or pseudocode, right? Because they're not part of the logic. They're part of that particular language. So that's why they're not in my sequential structure, okay? So now I'm going to say File, Save, and Run. Okay, enter a number 5, enter a number 6, and there's 11. So it did it correctly that time, right? Okay, so now what if I want to make this a program where it multiplies two numbers?
I'm taking this online class.
Anybody know?
Well, she uses this Google
What do I-
Hangout thing. And
Correct.
she'll
I
just
put
randomly
an
invite.
asterisk here, which
Or
is
you have
what
to, like,
multiply
make
is
a
on the computer.
Otherwise, she'll like.
You know, we can't use an X like we did in mathematics, which actually in algebra you started using asterisks anyway, I think. No? You didn't? You never did? Was it a point? It's a decimal, I mean a dot. Yeah, it was a dot. Okay, so instead of a dot or an X, in every computer language, this doesn't change. Multiplication is an asterisk, okay? So that's not something that changes. That's the same no matter what. All right, so here we go. Print welcome, N1 equals, so this time it should multiply if I put 5 and 6. So I'm going to say File, Save As, and instead of it being called Add Numbers, this one's going to be called, oops, I'm going to rename it so that I don't type over the one that's there. That's so small. I'm sorry that I can't figure out how to enlarge that. Why is that not letting me change it? Downloads. Oh, because I'm on the wrong keyboard. Num. Okay, Malt Nums. Save. Okay, so now I'm going to run this one. Welcome, enter a number. So I'm going to say 5 again and 6 again, and it got 30. So it worked, right? So what we do in here is we want to build on what we learned to do that's so simple, right? Very simple, adding and multiplying. Now, I'm not saying if you didn't understand that in Python that you should have. If this is your first time to ever see any of this, and it's like that, don't worry about it. Tell me. We're going to stop here in a little bit, probably about 15 minutes before class is over, and I'm going to look at everyone's and see that they understand, okay? Especially since I'm not going to be here Thursday, I want y'all to be able to proceed. All right, so any questions about that? Anybody has? All right, so we're going to, your project one that you'll work on together on Thursday is actually just a sequential program. It doesn't have if else and it doesn't have loop. So even though you already know how to do that, you can make the project fancier if you want, okay? But you're not required to. Okay, so if I look back at our schedule then, what we wanted to do next is to look at something called Code Academy. Has anybody ever used that before? Code Academy? Okay, if we go out, it's something like W3 Schools, but I realize W3 Schools doesn't have Python in it. Code Academy does, and it's spelled C-O-D-E, and it leaves off the A, then it's codeacademy.com. Okay, this is a free program. You just sign up or log in. I'm logging in because I've already, wait, how did I log in before? I think I did it with my Facebook, and then I didn't have to create a login. Whichever's faster you can do. I may have a login though. I think I do. Let's see.
Once you're signing up, go to login tab.
That's what it is. Oh, yeah. But I can't remember if I did or not. Password. No. Oh, I'll just do it this way. Cause didn't even pick that one.
I was wondering if you had something planned.
There it is. Okay. So in Python, once you get here, you can see that I've done some things in here. So mine doesn't say, it says skills in progress 1, but it is an interactive tutorial for learning Python. So if I go down here and click on it, yeah, probably. Mine didn't do that before. And if you click continue, because I already started into it and it won't let me go back. Oh, it just lets you go there. Oh, here they are. Okay, so I went through this one just to kind of see what it was like. But this first one called Python Syntax, if you click on it, it lets you go through 13 lessons. These are the things that it teaches in those 13 lessons. Is variables, data types, white space, comments, and arithmetic operation. So it goes step by step and it tells you this is the instructions. Let's put our knowledge to work. Write a single line comment on line 1. Well, we didn't learn comments in the first one, but I showed you how to do that is with a pound sign. And that, you can say, this is my, anything you write there doesn't go into the, it's just for you to see. This is my first Python or something like that. Okay, then it says number 2, set the variable Monty equal to true. So I would go down to line 2, and I would say MONTY equals. Now, you won't be able to get to this part until you do those other lessons, I don't think. Did it let you skip?
I know.
Yeah, click start. Yeah, right
I know.
here. Okay, that's showing you that. And then if you do save and submit, then close that, then it should take you to the next one.
Okay.
And that's how it works. Let me go to one that's like that. So if I go, well, once I finish this one, once you do that, it'll take you to these lessons. What?
Skip to 13.
You can skip to 13?
Yeah. Where it says 13 for 13.
Right here?
Click that box.
Oh, and it lets you skip to it. Okay. So then you can click to what I'm on. And you can do it with me. Okay. So it's telling me there's a variable, and they're just naming it Monty. You can name it anything you want. Equals to true. So then I'd say TRUE. I skipped again. Set another variable, Python, equal to 1.234. Surprised it lets us use that as a variable. 1.234. Set a third variable, Monty. Remember we talked about Python coming from that Monty Python. The author liked Monty Python. Equal to Python squared. Now, you would have had to see how to do that above, but what it is Python squared, you would use 2 asterisks. That's how you raise it to the power of 2. So if it's saying squared, then I believe that's right. We'll look here in a second. Is that right, Shelby? Do you remember? You never did powers? Okay. All right.
Usually powers are the up arrow and then the number.
But no, I know it's 2 asterisks, but I'm not sure if I need to go. In Python, it's 2 asterisks. But you're right. It usually is that. You're exactly right. But in here, it's not. So if this will tell me if I do save and submit code. Oh, it says anytime there's none up there, then that means that you had no errors. So that's how you would do it. Monty Python equals Python to the power. Congratulations, you've finished this course. And then you can go to the next one, which is the tip calculator, or you can go back out and select things. Like chapter 2, when we get to chapter 2 in our book, it's all about strings. So there's a whole section here on strings and console output. And it tells you if you make an error, and it gives you a hint what it should be. Okay, so it's a really good interactive tutorial on Python. Gives you a little bit more work in Python if what we have in the book isn't quite enough to learn it. Okay, and if you need more help on that, just let me know. All right. All right. So we went to Code Academy. Now we're going to look. Okay, let me get back to where my drive is and get the book pulled up. We just got about 5 minutes. So what I want to do in this last little bit of time, oh, I didn't go to the right place. What was that? Should have given me the ebook. There it is. Okay, so in our book, on page 26, turn it down. Okay. Keep show all downloads. This should be opening in. Turn it off. Okay, where is my? I guess it didn't download it. Let me see. Okay, here's the ebook. We'll just go it this way, I guess. Open with.
When did it give me a PDF?
I just let it download it. It lets me download it, and then it actually just goes on the Zoom site and stuff.
Yeah, that's what I want. Why is it not letting me do that here? I wish
I just
I'm
went
at.
to the free ebook link that you have, and then right down below ebook, click the head first programming, and it downloaded it for me.
Oh, here you're saying go to. You went to here to the one inside the course info.
Yeah, I went to the administrator announcements, like the very first thing when you click your class.
Okay,
Yeah,
you went to
free
here, and
ebook.
you're saying that it let it.
And then go scroll down a little bit to where it says ebook download head first programming. First one.
Yeah, I just didn't do it on here. I've got it on the. It takes it a couple seconds because I didn't have it on the PC. Okay, while that's downloading, I'm going to get it back up here. So you guys can see it. Okay, and I want to go to page 26. If it downloaded, and it did. Okay. Oh, but it's still opening it there instead of. Oh, show in folder. Come on. See that I don't use this PC very often, so.
If you go to the 3 lines at the top right of Google, and you can just show your downloads. Then right click it and
Right here? Right here you're
wait,
talking about.
it's not working the same way. Show in folder, it shows right below it.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, let me see. But now my downloads aren't showing. Oh, there they are. Okay, is that
Your downloads? So here. On your actual Google, you go to the 3 lines up there.
oh,
And then you go down to downloads, show in folder.
oh, that's the one I was finding. Thank you. Okay, so here's the actual one. Oh, but it's still not. There it is. Now open with Adobe. Okay, starting the code. Here is the page number. Where does it leave? Oh, there it is. Wow, why is this so different? 26. No, it didn't. Okay, where's page 26? There's branches. Program is like a program. Let's go here, see where we're at. Okay, this is the one that was the branches. Oh, that's just page 13. Okay.
Yeah, we're in chapter 2, shouldn't we be?
No, this is still chapter 1. Chapter 1 has
Which page are we looking for?
26. There we go. There we go. 21, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. Okay, so this is the part, and I can make this bigger, at least. I know how to do that. I sure wish that wouldn't happen today. Okay, so we did the if then else on our game program. We ran our game program where the user could guess a number and then another number, and if it wasn't it would say you win or you lose. Well, in this one that you all did, the long exercise, it said 3 guesses or 4 guesses. Well, maybe you wanted to run it, make it keep running until you end it, you know. And so that's why we had to learn how to do what was called a loop. Okay, so that's what she's saying. Wouldn't it be dreamy if there were a way to get a piece of code to run several times, but I guess it's just a fantasy. And you remember when I talked to you all in the first week, I was telling you, most of the time in this class, all the semesters I've been teaching it, we didn't do loops till about the 10th week of class. So this is a new approach where you get the whole all three structures that make up every program you got in the first chapter. So that's, then they approach it from a different way. So if you don't get loops yet, which you all said you were able, or just about everybody was able to do it, but here's what a loop does. It's lets you, oftentimes you need to keep running the same piece of code, and different programming languages allow you to do loops using different verbiage. But the one we're going to use in Python is called a while loop. Now I went all the way down. Okay, so this is Python. Oops. What do we have to have as far as structures? Remember I was telling you there's three structures. If you learn all three structures, then you can write any program no matter how complicated it is, because it's just a combination of those three structures. One is sequential, one is called selection, which is the if-else branch. You select which branch to take. So it's kind of like a set of directions when you're given a set of directions on your map, and it says, okay, if there's a dead end here, then go right. Okay, so it's a branch. But the term sometimes that's used is the selection structure. The third structure is called repetition, and that's when we use a loop. And so you can have loops embedded in loops. You can have if-then-else's embedded in loops. You can have, well, you have to have sequential statements in every kind of structure. Because if you just had an if-else, if you just had an if statement and nothing after it, would be worthless. So you have to put sequential statements after it. So here, the loop body is the part that executes repeatedly. Okay? So here they give you the loop body is like on a track that goes around and around until the statement where you've got the while loop is false. And when it's false, it drops out and goes to the end. So it's like a Boolean expression. Boolean is a man's name, meaning it has only one of two choices. Boolean actually is two things. It can either be true or false. So in this loop, when the program first reaches the loop, it checks the value of the loop condition, which in this case is the variable answer. That's the loop condition. And remember last time we talked about a double equals is used to mean a comparison. If you don't put a double equals, what does it do with this no? If there was just one equal sign there, what would it do with this no? Would it compare it to what's in answer? It's like a variable. It would assign no to the variable answer. That's what one equal sign means. So we have to remember in mathematics, the equal sign just means do this operation and make it equal to the answer. But in programming, if you're doing a comparison, you have to use a double equals. And you'll probably forget in your code sometimes, because I do. So here it says, answer, if answer is the same as no, if it's no, then it's going to drop out and execute in the program. At the end of the loop, the program will go back to the start of the loop and check the condition again. So the big difference, the big difference between a loop and a branch is how many times it runs the code associated with it. So a branch will run its code only once, but a loop will run the loop body, then check the loop condition again. And if it's still true, it will run the loop body again and again and again. In fact, it will keep running the loop body until the loop condition becomes false. Now, the one thing to remember is that you can have what's called an infinite loop if you forget to set your condition at the beginning of the loop. Programming languages have lots of different ways of creating loops, but one of the simplest ways in Python is to use a while loop. Here's an example. So here's how you would code this in Python. And because we're running out of time, I'm going to show you the one that I have coded already. So if I go back here, where did I go? It's my drive. There it is. Okay, so we have one, and some of you all probably have yours already, or already have yours in your folder, and I'll take a look at those. Oops, that's the wrong one. Back. Come on. Okay, why is that doing that? That's what I thought it would do. I had all these already opened. There we go. Spring. Okay, so the next one that we did was one in the book. It's called, I called it Game Loop, and let me download it, hopefully. There it is. Download. Keep. And here it should let me show in folder. And open with idle. Okay, so in this one we've said print welcome, and here's the important thing, that if you leave that out and you don't initialize the variable, which is your conditional variable, then it will end up in an infinite loop and not know what to do. Or actually in this one, in this case, it won't even execute this part. So what we have to do, our condition here is the variable guess. We're comparing it to 5. And we're saying while guess, and in Python, not equal, and a lot of languages it's this way, you say not equal with exclamation mark equal sign. So you say while guess is not equal to 5, then you would say input, you're going to ask the user, guess the number, put it in G. Then what does this do? Assigns it as a number, right? Assigns G as a number so that we can do a comparison with it. If guess is the same as 5, then print you win. Else, print you lose, game over. Is this the right one? Yeah, this will work. Okay, so as long as you run this and don't enter 5, let's run it. Okay, welcome. Guess the number. So if I put 3, oops, I'm on the wrong keyboard. 3, it says you lose. If I put 6, you lose. And I'll keep doing that until I put what? 5. So when I put 5, you win, game over, because the loop ended, right? Okay, now that way I knew what I had to enter. But if I open the other problem that was called random integer, okay, show in folder. Okay, this one has a little bit more code because it told you in the book that maybe you don't want to know what number that you have to enter, because in the program, the computer, when you use this command called random, it's going to just randomly pick a number, and it's going to put that number into a variable called secret, okay? And you don't know what that is when you're running the program. But down here, it's saying whatever number they enter, it's still the guess. Then I'm going to compare that to secret in my while loop. So the first time through, I've got to compare it to 0. Then I ask the user, okay, guess a number, change it to a number, and then compare it to secret. If it's the same, you win. Else, if it's not, it's going to compare and say if it's greater than whatever number the computer has come up with, then it'll tell you it's too high. So let's just run it real quick. Did everybody get this one to run? Everybody get this one? Okay. Run module. Okay. Say I put 6 in, too high. Say I put 8 in, too high. Oh, I shouldn't have done that. I already knew, right? That was stupid. Okay, too high. It's still saying 5's too high. 4's too high. 3's too high. 2's too high. Then it has to be 1. So that one randomly picked a 1, and that's what was in there, right? So you can, and so it ended. All right, if you don't have this running and you want a copy of one that runs, I can put it into Evernote, okay, so that you can have it. But on Thursday, remember, I won't be here, so there won't be anybody to take roll. But if you have a partner to work with, you might want to go ahead and come and work together on Project 1. Where is Project 1? Did I put it in Evernote? I hope I did. Let's see. Maybe I did not. If I did not, I will put it in Evernote, and it'll be in the content, so you can download it. I'll do that as soon as class is over. Okay? Anybody have any questions? I didn't get to finish so I could help anyone. We got 5 minutes, so if you have some questions, then wait and I'll come back and see what you've got. If you don't, you're free to go and have fun. See you later. I will not see you all till next Tuesday, but if you have any problems, just email me, okay? Let me stop this real quick.
So is there any
I just walked in here. Like, I went to my car.
Okay, stop broadcast.